UI, or the user interface. UI is everything that can be integrable, from buttons and sliders to tip texts, loading screens, and background images. But user interface elements can easily break the immersion of the player experience, and that's because you can always be able to tell a game screenshot from a real-life image just by seeing a health bar, for example. And that's why most E3 gameplay trailers tend to remove all the UI elements to make the game feel more cinematic and engaging, and this alone explains how hard the user interface can get. UI design is really difficult to get right, and really easy to get wrong. As a game developer, you should offer great visual feedback and present fancy and engaging experience in your games. And UI is one of the most important key elements that will enhance not only the look, but also the experience that the player gets when he enters the game. The most common use of UI in video games in general is within main menus, and it's also used to give more visual feedback to the player, like adding subtitles or displaying the button that he needs to press to do a certain action. UI is very important in video games because it helps the player to recognize interactions. Not only that, but in most cases, it's the first impression that the player gets when he enters the game, and it can say a lot about how the game will look like, and this is very crucial. And when it comes to UI in video games, we tend to separate them into 4 subcategories: diegetic, non-diegetic, spatial, and meta. A diegetic UI system is a system that fits with the game narrative and the information that the player needs during the feedback loop. A great example of that would be Firewatch's navigation, which is using only a map and a compass. Non-diegetic interface is quite the opposite, because it will give information to the player without caring about the narrative or the game's world. For example, Subway's score system, the health bars and combo counters in Street Fighters, characters in these games don't actually know that these elements exist. Spatial. It exists physically in the game, but only for the player, like the mission assignments in Splinter Cell Convention. And finally, meta. Meta UI makes the distinction between the screen space and the game space. A good example for that would be how Call of Duty uses Blood Splash as a health bar. Games in general uses a combination of these techniques to deliver information that fits with the game, whether it's a narrative, multiplayer, or any other genre. This is it for this video. See you in the next one.